Welcome to the Smokin Word. Welcome to the Smokin Word.
Yeah, what up, everybody? Hoya Rock Smokin Word Podcast. We are back. This is actually, I'm gonna call it round two of the. First of all, my guest I want to introduce my boy. We're gonna get into it in very much detail, but the director and the man behind some of your favorite videos and mine. On the real, we were trying to do this for a minute. And we basically, long story short, we had this podcast last week for everybody who was asking, but I had a power outage in my neighborhood, so we had to do it right. We got him back, everybody. My boy Dale Rage Resteghini.
Yes.
There you go. I got it. You see? And I always knew that. You know what it was? I always knew it's Resteghini, and then when we would see it in spelling, I'm like, yo, am I saying it wrong? Because obviously we don't go around calling each other by fucking last names. And then I was like, and then the last time we talked, you fact checked me, so I was glad. First of all, how you doing? Last time we talked, you were somewhere else. Where you at now?
Well, I was in Jersey, where the home is, the family is, and now I'm in LA, where the business office is. So I've been bi-coastal for like 15 years now, for film, TV, music, and this company I just launched, Boombox Apocalypse. For any artists out there wanting your songs and film or TV, video games, commercials, hit us up. Boombox Apocalypse. Check us out.
Yeah, no, we'll even talk about that. But right now, real quick, it's a platform for what? For new groups, old groups?
So basically, no, it's for like if you're a new group and you got great music, but you have no way in because of the gatekeepers and the way this industry is so fucked up right now. We are your Trojan horse into getting your music in a film and TV. It's a fuck you to all the fucking gatekeepers, the lawyers, the music supervisors, the studios, the labels, the publishing companies who are looking out for their own best interest. Fuck you. Get your music on film and TV through the films and TV shows that myself am making and my friends are making and the companies I work with are making, because everyone's looking for a better solution.
Yeah. No, and that's great that you're doing that. And even finding out from the last time we talked, kind of how you got into doing film was not your traditional way. I'm going to lead into that because what you're talking about now, it makes more sense. You're doing what you're doing because from jump, you always were more, from what I learned talking last time, a big picture guy than specifically. So everybody, you might know Dale from Hatebreed videos, Madball videos. Let's hit him with some of the heavy hitters in the pop world. Dale, give us a rundown of some of your heavy hitters.
Oh man, after spending like 2 or 3 years doing a lot of rock and metal videos, mostly from the Northeast bands like Hatebreed and All That Remains, Unearthed, Diecast, Madball, Agnostic Front, Shadows Falling, all those, E-Town Concrete, shout out E-Town Concrete, and all those bands. I started doing a lot of West Coast hardcore metal. Then I eventually, after fighting, get my way into doing hip hop videos. So I started getting on this big Dipset run with Capo, Joel Santana, Cam, Killer Cam. And that led me into doing a lot of bigger hip hop videos. As they were ascending, I was ascending. So Game, Akon, Pitbull, Snoop Dogg, T.I., Guns N' Roses, Rick Ross, Ty Dolla $ign, Nicki Minaj, Yo Gotti, DJ Drama, RZA, Wu-Tang, Method Man, Redman.
I knew you did a lot, and when I was reading, I was like, so much, even way more than I even knew.
Right.
And the dope thing about you, I want to salute you too, because you gave a chance, because coming from where you come from, you gave a chance to a lot of the smaller bands to be able to come out with a Big Willie video, to be able to compete, because that was the reason why we had used you. We seen the Hatebreed stuff. We had met during those times, and those videos were dope. But again, when we weren't not all of us were on a big label or some crazy budget or whatever it may be. And I remember you right away was like, yo, I'm down. We used to be like, hell yeah, we got to do some. And what's important about, there was a lot of people doing videos, but being able to look at in my opinion, at that time, now there's a lot of very dope video guys, independent guys that are just doing their own thing, even kind of like not even.
Yeah.
For me, from the first entrances of early my era of New York hardcore and metal, from the the let's say the late 80s, early 90s, you had Drew Stone, who gave a lot of people to get a small band a chance to get a real video. That was when nobody was getting a video. And then for me, the next guy was you, but it was at a different stage when those bands, like what we were doing, also now we're more mature. Now we're moving up the scale.
Yeah.
Now the times are changing. Now it's like, what's the next move to do? Now we got to come out and hang with the metal bands, the more Big Willie look, the style of hip hop. Like hardcore has a swag to it that metal doesn't, and a lot of people don't understand it. When you come from hip hop, it's easier to understand, but you don't have to be from hip hop to understand it.
Right.
You being who you were, you got it, and it showed. Because being who you were, we'll get into it. Also, how you came up from location wise, but also the music you were into, and it translated. You know, hardcore is different than metal. Metal's not everybody gets it. Some people hear guitars. Some directors get a check. They just hear metal. Okay, let's get upside down crosses, and they think it's
right. Exactly, 100%. Well, listen, and what you're saying led to me being able to do. I remember I was on a Sunday doing $130,000 Soulja Boy video for Kiss Me Through the Phone, and flew back the next day and was doing a video for Cannibal Corpse for like 12 grand in the dead of winter in a cabin in Jersey in the snow with no heat, no nothing. And we got, zombies, blood, chasing in the woods. So I just love mixing it up, coming from the background and having my crazy life that a little bit about, being locked up and finally getting my shit straight. I was like, okay, once I finally planted my feet, planted my fucking flag and say, this is what the fuck I'm doing, there was nothing that was going to stop me. You would have to put a bullet in my fucking head to stop me from what the fuck I want. So I didn't care if it was 10, 15, 20 grand. 200, 300, 400, 500 grand. I was doing them. I was being told by some commissions at that point in time, the way the label politics were, Dale, we like your work, but you got to be more selective and you got to like not work so much. And in my head, I was hearing my dad's voice, from heaven. If you ain't working, kid, you ain't working. If you ain't working, you ain't making no money. Yeah. So I was like, fuck all that LA shit. I'm just gonna fucking pound. And here I am all these years later. A lot of people have come and gone, and I'm still here rocking and putting people on, starting platforms, discovering bands like Trivium who were dead nowhere, and I put them on the map.
Let me ask you real quick, get into that real quick, because they ended up getting on Road Run. Everybody who knows, and everybody who don't know, Trivium was one of the later metal bands. They're not so much new anymore, but out of the later bands in Road Run, these guys also hit some heights that, they took the genre to another level, and they were pretty big. How did that fall into place with you?
So shout out to people like Jasta and Howard, who always call people out when it comes up like about Trivium, like Dale discovered Trivium. There's even a couple of books that let people know Dale Resteghini discovered Trivium. So I had to go to, after my first Hatebreed video for Perseverance dropped on Headbanger's Ball, it was like a mini atomic explosion. Like who's this guy and who did this video? Yeah. And so my phone was ringing like crazy from all the different labels. So one label called me to go down to New Jersey Metal Fest in Asbury Park. I had to go meet two bands. I had to go meet Suffocation and go meet Most Precious Blood. Wow. So while I was there going to meet them, talking about videos, I was walking around and I saw on the floor a little postcard, and it had a band called Trivium on it. It's a Trivium. The logo was kind of cool. The font was cool. I picked it up, put it in my pocket. I wanted to see if they were playing there that day, and they weren't. So I got back home later, and I had my iMac. This is back in the iMac dial-up days, right? Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Those days. Sent them an email, and then I got an email back like 4 days later. Hey, Dale, this is Brian. This is the band's. I'm Matt's dad, and I cut through all the emails. Basically, he's like, listen, we are nowhere. We need a way in. We've seen that you've done some big videos and you know a lot of people. Can you help us? And I was like, well, listen. And I was maybe 30, 31, 32 then, not knowing a lot about I come from film, know a little about music, but not But instinctively, I knew, well, send me a demo, right? And I'll play it for different. I played it for Trust Kill, Josh Grabel, and then our boy Carl Severson from Ferret Style.
of course.
Fight, and then I took it to Century Media, took it to Roadrunner. Everybody passed. Now I still have their CD demo packages and photos and their whole stuff from 2004 when they sent me all this stuff. And so I played the CD for everybody. And there were guitar solos. They were like shredding. I'm like, this is insane. But every label said, nah, we don't get it. They're really not what we're looking for. So I took that info back to the dad, and he said, listen, so what do we do next? And I said, well, just in my recent new world of being in this business, I said, when I will go to labels and talk to them about videos, on the desk to the A&R and the executives were just a bunch of packages of artists, whether it was R&B, hip hop, or rock or metal. And every once in a while, one of those packages would have a VHS EPK or a music video. I said, well, based on just my understanding of what's going on, what I see, it seems like the ones that have a visual representation are getting like the biggest looks because they get to see, not just listen and reading something. So I said, and he said, well, what would it cost? I said, well, I got to the numbers like around 30 grand. He said, listen, let me take some money out of Matthew's college fund because Matt was only 16 years old then, 16 years old. And he goes, let's do a video. And his dad was a great guy, came from military, had some kind of businesses doing well. And so we did a video in Long Island at this castle. It looked like freaking it came out look like Metallica. They looked insane. They're 16 years old in that video. It's like the Flies. Check out like the Flies. But you got to look for the original version because they cut out my story because my original story was going to have Justin from Most Precious Blood playing this serial killer, taking this hot blonde girl on a date to a castle. The day of the shoot, Justin's dog had to get put down and he couldn't come. So I was jammed up. So my next call was to Dennis the Menace, who was a host at Much Music back then. He's also a rapper and an actor. And so Dennis killed it. The girl killed it. But ultimately when Roadrunner signed the band, they wanted to use that video. They said, you know what? The people in Germany really ain't gonna like seeing an interracial couple on this video, even though they weren't really a couple. There was no kissing. Yeah. But in the end of the video, Dennis turns into these maniacs. So he's got the girl chained up, and it's like a horror movie. Yeah. They killed the narrative, which for me pissed me off because you put so much time into something. Yeah. Like putting all these riffs in something, and it's great, and then somebody says we take it out. You're like, so anyways. So we made the video for the band, and then every label that said no originally that saw the video, they're like, who's this band? I'm like, it's the same band you said no to like 4 months ago. So there was a bidding war, went crazy, and then we ended up doing a few more videos together, and then all the politics and bullshit happened. The labels try to come in, let's use our guy, this guy. Yeah. So me and the band are technically cool, but everybody knows that if not for me, they would not be signed to Roadrunner, and maybe Matt would just be doing video games on Twitch or whatever the case is. Again, no disrespect to anybody, but everybody knows, Hoya, if someone fucking puts you on, you know what the fuck it is.
Yeah, you know exactly, for sure. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
And especially like that, and especially because we continue in the same business, so the same circle of people and everybody.
And so later on, when I ended up signing one of my own bands, I started managing Straight Line Stitch. They ended up doing a tour called Rockstar Mayhem. And Trivium was in the same bill as my band, and my band was named Best Band of the Tour by Kerrang! Magazine that year. I remember the article literally said, rarely does a festival of this magnitude without stars offer up the best band of the tour as the opening act. Boom.
You might have been an A&R in your past life. That's what it was. And the bugged out shit about you that I found out, what I want to let everybody else know is, I always, because like I told you last time, coming up, I love taking pictures for myself, and then that led to taking videos on the road, little videos for myself. And then for a minute, I had a fantasy that I would get into that after music because I loved editing. I like building, you know what I mean? Building something. So I like music, and I had fun doing small edits. And again, I took it from me liking photos, moving up to little videos, and then maybe if I want to pursue it, keep going.
Right.
I automatically thought kind of everybody who gets into it kind of comes in the artistic way.
Right.
You didn't. You came in through the jail way. But I want everybody to know quick, because last time you didn't come up saying, when I grow up, I'm going to be a director. Grow up, I'm going to film music videos. You know, you come up from, you know, Massachusetts area, that whole area.
Working class, blue collar.
Yeah, you know, doing the street life. We talked about it real quick on the last time. You end up doing time for your wildness. But even at that time, you were into trying to make something, but music wasn't the main thing at that moment, right?
Right.
Until you, I want you to take it from there. Like, what got you into your first step? I know it's the movie idea, but let everybody know how you fell into going behind the camera, from the streets to being behind the camera.
So, to pick up, we had some nice little nuggets last time, but I'll just jump into it quick. So, but the last time I was locked up, I was in a situation and I saw a book in the law library, and it was called The Kid Stays in the Picture. It was a book written by legendary film producer Robert Evans, who produced films like The Godfather, Love Story. He ran Paramount Pictures, and he was just an actor kid from New York in like the 50s or 60s, and he moved to New York, to LA with his friend Dick Van Patten Jr. Wanted to be an actor, had some success, but really failed at it, but somehow maneuvered his way behind the scenes, met some right people, started getting jobs running film productions. He didn't know how he got there, but he figured it out. He was going, ended up running the biggest studio on the planet, marrying one of the biggest superstar actresses at the time, Ally McGraw. Crazy legendary story. Anyways, he coined the phrase, after getting screwed over in a bunch of deals, he coined the phrase, "fuck you money." He's like, I need to get my fuck you money on my fucking deals. Great. This guy inspired me to to sit in. Every day I was locked up, I started to write my story that kind of got me in that situation, called Colors of Rage. I ended up finishing it, coming out, making it on like very little money. Had Redman in it, Queen Pen in it, Lord Tree Computer Guns, Billy Porter, who's a superstar from Pose now, he's in it. And that led me, that gave me some credibility as a filmmaker. And then I went on to make a quick spoof of the Blair Witch Project that had Eminem in it, Mobb Deep, Praz, Rod Digger from the, and all these other.
What was your little entrance or your little connect to the hip hop world to be able? Because even then, even those guys early on were still the main players. You know what I mean? These are all OGs.
So as I was making the round, I did have one connection from my Boston days that was in Boston. The girl that ended up, I moved from Boston to New York City, and that was like the tragedy which led to all this beautiful shit was what's got me locked up. And so she was a soul singer from Memphis who went to Berkeley and Boston. Her classmates were Paula Cole, Layla Hathaway, and some other big singers. And so we had to connect some connective tissue with the guy that ran Soundtrack Studios in New York City. So I would go to Soundtrack Studios and I would run into people like Busta Rhymes with Redman, right? And so I would say, hey, let me do your music videos. And I had very little credibility at that. I was just about to make Colors of Rage. I finally made it. So here I am, this new white boy in New York, trying to get into music videos and hip hop. Because at that point in time in 99, 98, 99, 2000, hip hop was just like taking over. Like they were like decimating, like launching careers of people like Hype Williams, Paul Hunter, and those kinds of guys. Yeah.
Movies because of
Ratner. It was boom. It was the train right to Hollywood. So, and I was asking all those artists about doing their videos, like, nah, you cool, but listen, we got our fam over here. When they were saying fam, I thought they meant like Hype was really their family, or like, Paul Hunter was really their family, or Little X was really their family. But then I realized, what it was. So I just continued to pound. And then in 2000, I was asked to direct to go document a tour called Tattoo the Earth. We had Slayer, Slipknot, Seven Dust, Hatebreed, Mudvayne, all these bands. It was like a whole new thing that was going on in the world. And I was kind of removed from rock and metal for a bunch of years because I was going through my getting out of jail years and becoming a male stripper and becoming an actor and getting into freestyle music. Yeah. And so I was like, and also I was a kid from the 80s. So being thrust into that, being on tour in these Lawrence, Kansas and San Bernardino, and all these dust bowls with
right there,
10,000, 15,000 people just running around in hot dust bowls with my camera in mosh pits, getting knocked around, looking through my eyepiece and getting my head bashed. And running from the union guys that we were at in Allentown, and it was a union house, and they said you can't film with your camera here, and I was like, fuck this, I've been on this bus for 5 days and I can't film, trekking from across country. So I said, fuck that. I went out and I started to film them. It was Slayer's set, and I was in the middle of the venue, and I suddenly looked up, and to my left and to my right were two union guys. They pointed at me, get him. He's kind of coming at me. I couldn't go behind me because they'll come. So I went under the front of the stage, and I'm burrowing under the front of the stage, not getting caught, so they can't take my shit. And I smashed my head on one of the posts. I was bleeding, and then I made it out to the back, made it to the bus. And my boy Fran Strine, who's a photographer, the director himself, he hid me from security, and it was like these kinds of things that just kind of led to me getting a name for myself. That's where I met Jamie from Hatebreed, and he found out I worked with Eminem, and he was like, yo, you work at Eminem? What the fuck? How'd that even happen, bro?
Yeah.
So we became friends in 2000, which led to me doing my first music video in rock and metal for Hatebreed's Perseverance, and that led to me taking off.
Yeah, no, because that's what we met, and it was crazy because you did come out of nowhere. Because again, in hardcore, there wasn't a lot of video guys, and if there was, it was only the bigger tier bands, not everybody. Now the younger bands are starting to get bigger. Now it's the new wave. We were part of that new wave that you were a part of at that time. Was the new wave of where hardcore, metalcore, whatever was coming, because everybody you named, those were the guys that basically, from the Shadows Fall, those bands, the metalcore title came out of those batch of bands. You know what I mean? Kill switches. So you were actually on the cutting edge of something, if you knew it or not. You know what I mean? Like, from that, which is bugged out. And let me ask you this though. Obviously, directing, directing is like basically big picture, knowing everything. How about you getting behind the camera for the first time? Like was that like when you got into that part, did you end up saying, okay, let me study camera work? Or you were just like, I got to get a camera to get off this picture?
Bro, it was as simple as like you picking up a guitar or bass for the first time, going on stage with your first band ever, figuring it out. How do the speakers work and how do they hear it's the same shit. So I relied upon my own maniacal Virgo way of figuring shit out, because I thrive in chaos. I literally thrive in when people are passing out and dropping balls. I literally come up with the most immediate, quickest solution, figure it out, get it done. So I rely on the people. I was always smart enough to hire the people that knew this shit more than me. So some of the best DPs that are doing Netflix series and Amazon series and 30 and doing Marvel films are my DPs and my guys that I still work with today. So those are the kind of people that I was smart enough to, I could see in a frame, a still frame from a prospective DP, if that guy or girl had the look that I needed. Gotcha. I grew up, I loved Tony Scott movies, Ridley Scott movies, Michael Mann movies. I mean, Kubrick. I mean, I literally loved certain directors, and growing up in the 80s and seeing films like Rocky or Top Gun, all those kinds of movies, that's my visual DNA.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Because and it's good that you say that, because I've also known, like, again, I was always interested in that side of film and stuff, even if I got just the building of it. And I've learned that there's directors that don't even want to give credits to a DP. They like chefs. Some chefs, it's like, the chef, you earned your bones to make it where you at, but you got a staff that you picked that could handle it. You come and put the garnish. Not that you didn't earn your spot, but you earned your spot. But there's a team. That's what makes you, a lot of people won't admit that even in bands, people want to be like, I'm the all. No, again, learning how you got into it, what do you call it? It stamps that you are a big picture guy. Right, let's get this off the right way. I wasn't like that at first, and I became like that because I'm like, I would micromanage, but micromanage hoping to fix the big picture when I'm like, no, that's too much work. Like, that's smart. Like, no, I know how to get there. Okay, we do at an early stage, you do everything yourself. Now, when you get a little bit more experience and you can spread your wings a little. Same thing with music. Now you could say, I like how you do this. Get my ideas through you. I do the same thing with guitar guys. Like I have
Yeah.
my music, but then I go run it through your filter. Like play
Right.
my, like it's the same riff. They just run it through their little, their little whatever. And if I like it or not, and some people won't even give people the credit for that.
Yeah, right.
To me, it's to get off like what you would do. Like
Yeah.
I want to present the ultimate piece.
Yep.
That was always my thing.
Yep.
Like whatever it is, the piece got to bang.
Yep.
However we got there, but that's good that you also explained it. So is basically what I'm trying to say. You were smart enough, you got it there, but then you also surrounded yourself with the right people to get the fucking thing.
Yep, 100%. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, right? I'm just trying to paint the picture because like in hip hop, you remember with ghostwriting, you could do it, you can't, and in metal, it's like that too. Some people are like, I wrote everything. You can't say this guy gave me a riff for this. It's weird sometimes.
No, it's like I attribute, like, to me, it was every day when I decided to actually say, okay, this is what I'm doing. At that point in time, I met Kim. She was like my foundation. She was my love. She gave me what I needed to have to start my career. It was feast or famine. It was do or die. It was just get it done or that's it. It was like nothing left for me to do except just win. Right. So every day going to bed with that in mind, waking up with that in mind, it was just relentlessness. It was being undeniable and trying to be undefeated and just being unbeatable. So I didn't care what it took. I was just going to do the best I could. I don't care if it was this small of a job or this big of a job. I was just going to crush it. And that's literally what I did. And what ultimately led me to getting, I was always on John Frank, who was at that point in time over at Koch. And I was doing some rock video. Actually, I did head PE for Koch in 2000, and I think
I remember when Koch was rocking, when Koch was that.
Yeah, before. And head PE was like rock and rap, right? And so and we had DJ Product. So I had a very cool, it was very low budget, but I did it because I wanted to get that, I wanted to slide in that lane. And so that was just enough credibility for John to pass my name on to somebody who asked me to do literally like within 2 days, I needed to do my first ever hip hop video. It was Bird Call. It was J.R. Ryder featuring Cameron and Lil Wayne and Joel Santana. And so I was like, yo, and I remember I get the call. He's like, yo, Dale, this is, I think this is your shot. You've been on me for over a couple of years now to hip hop. This is it. So boom, I answered the call. Crushed it, murdered it, right? And then while on set that day, on the very day on the set, I was doing a shot in the middle of the street. It was Cam in front of his Lambo. The elevator train was going, the 109 was going behind him. It was like so New York and so dope. And I was Harlem. It was like everybody. I got a tap on my shoulder, looked around, and a woman named Emmanuel said, "Hey, are you available on Friday?" Which is like 2 days to do another video for Joel Santana featuring Young Jeezy and Lil Wayne. And all kinds of cameos were in it, so I said, yeah. So that was my second video. It was called Make It Work For You. So look up Make It Work For You. That was my second video I ever did in hip hop. And then I was just on a run with Cam. And then Jimmy was a little reluctant at first because he had his people and he was a director too. And so he saw what I was doing it with Cam, like the Get Him Daddy, and Joel's Clockwork video. He showed up on the set for Cam's Suck It or Not video we did. With Lil Wayne in New York. Wayne couldn't make it the day because he was going to some shit. But that video ended up becoming like my biggest hip hop video at the time. And Jimmy showed up. He said, "Man, I see what you're doing with Elgin and Killer. I got a video coming up. I'm thinking about going to Miami and doing." I said no. So I basically said, and this is when they started to rock all the bling on the denim, the vest, and the rock star. Belts with the skulls and crossbones.
Yeah, the whole diplomat heavy.
Yeah, exactly. So I said, you know what, Jim? I said, this is what we should do. Because everybody knows you for going to Miami and doing Purple Gang, all kinds of stuff. We should take Dipset to New York. And you guys like are robbing a bank and living the life. G5 jets, Lambos. We got Max B out there. We had Stax Bundles out there. RIP Stax. And it was an epic, dude, that launched. We Fly High. Boom. Then we did the remix down in Atlanta. Huge. So yeah, man.
Let me ask you this. So being that you were heavy with them and especially how they were rolling, well, even at least on Wax or whatever. So you mentioned before your girl. So you get with your girl.
Yeah.
Now you're doing Dipset videos. Now you're doing Cam videos. And this is at the was your girl in the business or
Yeah, she was working at a big accounting firm, business accounting firm. Coincidentally enough, because I was just quick story. I was so broke when I met her. I used to live at 157th Street Riverside Drive, and I would roll. I had a gig that day to go have my first ever speaking line in a big film with Harrison Ford called Sabrina. I was rollerblading down like 150 streets to get the bus to go to Glen Cove, New York to film with The Mansion. And I was rolling down, and I saw her walk, and I was staring at her, and she turned around and said something to me, and that led to the conversation. Got a number, and then a few months later, we finally went out, and this is about before I was about to go in for like the last time, and it was just crazy story. But yeah, she was working. They were managing every single day business for like people like the Spice Girls and Celine Dion.
Also, it's already kind of in music,
Cranberries, yeah.
Because so now you got she right now she meets this guy. All right, she already could tell, like, all right, this dude is, he ain't a square. This guy's, he's something, he's doing videos, he's in the music. Now you're doing
at that point in time, I had not directed anything. I was a broke actor and but she saw something in me. But
before you went in, like you said, but now she's with you. Obviously, she ends up knowing you, you get to know each other more now, whatever. But now you come out, now you're gonna do videos. Even whatever. Now you're doing Dipset and all those videos. At the height of Dipset, there's girls, there's partying, at least in the videos. And how is it? Did you get any pushback from your lady? Because these are some of the things that I try to talk about. People in the business, being in bands, that go on tour, that work, directing, and that have relationships. So these are some of the things that happen.
So prior to even getting to Dipset, it was about 3 years of being on the road nonstop. Because at one point she ended up leaving her job to say, listen, this whole video thing's starting to take off now after the movie did well. We were literally on the road. We were together every single day, from living in our apartment in Union City / Hoboken, and then leaving every day, every weekend to go do videos. We used to go from Jersey to shoot a video in Jersey, do a video in Connecticut, do a video in New York, do a video in Rhode Island, come back with all our film. Because back in the day, it wasn't hard drives and cameras, it was film. You needed to get the film processed at labs and get transferred to a digibeta, take the digibeta with a DAT tape to the editor. It was a whole different process. So we were together all these years, every single day for years. So by the time, and so we've been around the rock star thing, the tour thing. So, and she already being familiar with having to, because as business managers for big stars like Bono from U2 and Maxwell, these accountants know where money needs to go, whether it's paying for a divorce, a baby mama, this. So she's already in the business to know about that stuff. But the trust factor of being with me for all these years before we really pop kind of set like the foundation of, okay, this is all going to be an escalating thing.
Yeah. And no, but that's dope, because I also forgot that you always rocked with your girl a lot. I remember she was all,
She was on our set.
Yeah, I know. That's what I remember. Like, that's why I kind of remember you always was with her, So, but I also know that, being in the, also the falses of our business, where they also think that everything is like what's getting filmed, when sometimes, no, a lot, this is premeditated a lot of time. Not that shit doesn't happen, but sometimes people in the business, again, being on the road, they automatically think, okay, you're getting champagne every night. You're girls in the hot tub. You're like, no, I'm with a bunch of dirty dudes trying to find at a Denny's at freaking 4 a.m.
When I rap every set, even still today, after rap, I would just want to get back to my spot, whether it's home or whether it's the apartment. Just I want to relax and download and chill. I'm not going to the club and turn up. Remember, because I started later too. My first successes wasn't until I was in like my mid 30s.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a fact. So I didn't have success at like 21, 22 and hitting the road.
Now, let me ask you this. This is your opinion for a guy who's been doing film and every way from movies and music videos. You went from using film to now the digital era, right?
Yeah.
There was we're way past that, where everything, we know what it is already. But there was still a lot of haters then. Were you a hater when it first changed over? Because, I understand the same thing. I went from that to Pro Tools, from same thing. And at first, I was a little bit of like a non-believer. And then I was like, I couldn't deny it, where I was like, technology could really.
So I remember this. So this is, from my perspective, it's a little bit different, because this is, I knew what's happening. I'll tell you why. when I was doing videos for like Gym Class Heroes and all these, Drama and Snoop, when these videos were like 200 grand, 300 grand, you get half upfront from the label, then you get another 25% on the day of the shoot, and then you get your back end like 2 weeks after you deliver the video, literally like clockwork, 2 weeks. Suddenly 2 weeks became 3 weeks, it became 6 weeks, sometimes like 6 months, all in like 2010, 11, and 12. And this is what happened. This is when downloading started to happen. CDs weren't being sold anymore. Record stores were closing. People forget that if this was a CD, if DMX or Britney Spears sold 1 million of those in 1 week, that was 60 million real dollars in cash that the label had on hand. So their money, the cash flow. So when it became non-existent and it became what I refer to as manipulated data, streams equal this and views equal this. Like if Drake does 1 billion streams in a week, that's still maybe 100 grand. So the labels need to figure out. That's why now they got these really screwed up deals that are not beneficial to the artist, right? So I knew the transition was happening because videos that were gonna be normally 150 grand were gonna be 25 to 30 grand. So I knew, living in Jersey, I would put all my videos out here in LA because I could do my Hollywood business. I'd say, I'll be in LA for like 2 weeks. I could do the video and do my hustle. So I knew I wasn't going to be able to do that anymore because the budgets were coming way down. So I said, I finally said, okay, let me get an apartment out here. So that was smart, and I've been rocking with that. But the transition of actually filming from film, knowing that the budgets were coming down, everybody knew that the quality of film that we were used to was going to go away. And the first version of the Red camera, which I finally did my first video on, it was horrible. The first version of the Red was horrible. It looked like you were filming the video with a VHS camera.
Wow.
And so obviously nobody was a fan of it when it first came out. So it took about 6 months for them to get their shit together, and then having this update, this update, this update, this update. And if you wanted to shoot slow motion, right, you'd have to go in the camera settings and change the settings to go to 60 frames a second. It was this horrible thing where if I was like on this size lens and I wanted to go slow motion, but this was the frame I wanted. Yeah. Once you change the frame rate, it would push the image in like this.
Oh, I know you mean.
So you needed to then go back to a different.
You had to go back and shoot it. Yeah.
It had to change it. It was this whole.
Yeah.
So, but people forget, if I had, I was shooting like Unearthed on 6 rows of 35 in Harlem, right? At this cool for the Great Dividers underneath like this cool crossover on the West Side Highway. And with film, 35 millimeter film versus 60 millimeter film, the 35 was a little bit more better quality. But it only had 4 minutes per roll. So if you had like 6 rolls, that's 24 minutes. I had to make a music video. And once you were done with once you were down to your last roll, that's it. You were done. So you needed to make sure you got everything you needed to in these first 5 rolls, or because there was no going to a store at 2 a.m. Oh, let me get that 35 minutes.
Yeah.
It wasn't like getting hard drives at Best Buy.
That's what keeps us creative. I think that's the plus from that old shit. If not so much, obviously quality compares. I don't care even musically, but I think making it happen with what we had, same thing musically. I used to, and one of our records before automated boards, we had to do a fade out, and I had to do it manually.
Right.
Our guy was like, "Now go slow," and I'm like, "This is crazy." Like now you hit a button, the machines are all like, it's great, but it made me more creative in other ways. You gotta, you know how it is. Let's make shit happen. That especially filming. I know a lot of that is very similar to recording music, where you could write down the whole treatment all you want. There's always things that naturally happen. Somebody don't show up. Sometimes the shots you throw together at the last minute are the shots that make it. You know what I mean? Same thing with music and whatever. And then, so now now it's the video age. Now everybody's doing videos. So like music, now the business changed, the way how we go about our business changed. So yeah, we still make records, but now we don't make money or get a budget like we used to, unless now I could totally see also that what you could ask for filming gotta vary also, because so many people are doing it. It's easier to people do it on their phones or whatever they choose to.
Yeah.
You always were a big picture guy, and that's why I want to go into the platform you were doing. Was the platform always something you wanted to work on, and did the layout, the layout of the land with you being a director, not that you're gonna stop or whatever, but it's definitely a different playing field, kind of how it works now. Did that help you say, yo, let me jump on this other platform thing and let me start putting this platform together? Because
So what caused me to want to ultimately start this is as a filmmaker. See, all the other, I don't care what music platform you have, whether it's pre-cleared, whether it's something like Spotify or Deezer, or there's other pre-cleared music catalogs like Epidemic Sound, Soundstripe, Audio Socket. All those companies were created to make money, right? To make money first, and they make money from the artist by their subscriptions each month. And I didn't come from, okay, let me take this industry and make money from artists and their music. It was a filmmaker's perspective, because when I did my first movie, Colors of Rage, and then a few other projects, and ultimately in 2017, I made a film called Cracker, a short film which starred our boy Lorenzo Antelucci and some other people.
Shout out to Mama Luke.
Yeah. So that movie went viral, but I wanted to license a song from a band that I loved growing up in the 80s called Lords of the New Church, and the song was called Open Your Eyes. And it politically, it's set with, and this was 83 or 82, that song came out. And politically, everything was being said in that song matched with what was going on during this whole Trump shit in 2016, 17. So I made a movie called Cracker about a present day white supremacist that gets thrust back to an alternate time where blacks rule, right? And politically, this song just resonated. So I went online to figure out, who I could reach out to. A woman finally responded back to me 2 weeks later. She said, "Oh, well, we're not the people. This other company has it now." So then I hit those people with an email, and that took about 10 days to get back from her. And she said, "So what are you trying to do now?" I said, "Well, I got this movie, blah, 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 blah." And she's like, "Well, what's your budget?" I said, "I mean, it's independent. It's low. Not much, but it's a pretty old song and nobody really knows about it, but it's cool and I like it." So she said, "Okay, let me see what I can do. Let me reach out to the guys." There's 5 guys in the band. I think one passed away. It took her like 4 weeks to get back to me with, okay, well, he said yes, he said yes, he said yes. We finally get the final yes from the estate of the other guy, and this is what we want to charge you. And by the time they got back to me with a number, which was fair. It was fair for festival use. But once it got sold, you'd have to pay like $8, $9 grand. And I'm like, well, I don't even know what it would sell for. How can I enter into a deal that I don't even know what's going to sell for? Then I'm personally liable for but the fact is I couldn't do it because it was sold anyway. So I just had to use my boy, Renee Mata, who's in a band called Reach NYC with people like Jacoby Shattuck singing vocals and things like that. So he gave me songs, but this is the problem from a filmmaker. When you got to deliver your movie, it's got to go up on a streaming platform or you distribute it for theaters. You have to deliver it on a scheduled day. That means you're jammed up. You don't have time to find the perfect song. So you got to go to a platform. This sounds like it, and you got to jam it in there. So it's just so hard from a filmmaker standpoint, getting songs that are already pre-cleared that fit the scene that you want. And even though these other platforms have like these songs, driving scene, fight scene, love scene, there's so many of them. It's kind of just like more noise, right? So my platform is catered to a very boutique audience of filmmakers and post houses that want great music that is either that we actually have writers' rooms for, and we actually write songs for the movies like we just did for my movie I just did called Soul of a Sister, which is coming out February 14th on BET Plus and Paramount in 2025. I use this for that film, and I'm using this for my horror film I'm doing in November called Weep. A horror film so it's going to be all this great music. We're actually going to write original music for it.
Dope.
Right? Yeah. And so ultimately, if Hoya has old music sitting on hard drives doing nothing, that's what I call audio archaeology. Right? So why am I going to pay some new kid to make a song that might sound like a Hoya or Madball riff from 98 or 99 or whatever, or 2000, when it's already sitting in your fucking hard drive?
Gotcha.
So I talked to like Bumpy Knuckles, DMC, Freddie Fox. All these guys are like, yo, I got 800 songs sitting on hard drives I don't want to die with. Let's do a deal. So our platform is, so we don't charge artists monthly fees. We share publishing on those tracks for the ones on our platform that we place in film and TV. So it's disruptive, it's revolutionary, and it's perfect for the 99% that will never get in on a label or have their songs in a film or TV show because they don't have the plug.
Okay, so we're a new band, right? I'm a new band or whatever. Where's my spot in that company? How do we get down with that company? Who we got to be and how we would go about getting
So
involved?
literally right now, send an email to info@boomboxapocalypse.com.
And we're gonna put all that info on the notes and everything. But all right, you send it there, and then what's the steps right now?
And then somebody will respond back to you saying, "Okay, great, we're glad you're interested." Make sure you say that I'm the founder of the company. Say I'm friends with Hoya, who knows Ray's the founder. He told us to send music here. What do we do? They'll respond back to you with some documents to fill out, your PRO stuff, the whole music business stuff. Prove that you own the songs. There's no samples. There's none of that stuff. And then there's a little bit of process, but as long as you got now we'd love to have stems too, because if your song is going to go in my horror film, the guy doing the sound or the girl doing the sound, they want to have the stems for this riff, that loop, this, that, whatever the case is. But in some cases, if it's older music sitting on hard drives, you may not have all those pieces. That's fine, But as much as you have, the more you have, the better.
Yeah, no, that's really dope because it's actually a really cool idea. Because actually the same deal what I'm doing now, right now I have a distributor with my own band, and basically it's my own label. I put out my own stuff, and I've always had stuff. Right. And that was the thing we did with the band when me and E dropped the last single. There was stuff that we were like, we had a couple of people helping us on the side that were like, yo, this guy works with getting stuff on TV, on movies or whatever. It's basically that. But I learned firsthand, starting over again when I'm doing everything hands-on, where it's a lot of different people you got to deal with to try to get one thing like that, just to be able to say, yo, I got a song. Who could I get to look at it to see if maybe they could throw it on something?
Dude, it's the same thing. I look at music supervisors the same way I did music video commissioners. Most music video commissioners, not all, because some were smart, some were cool, some were honest and genuine. Same thing with the music supervisors. Some are out there that are like that too, but some are just cock blockers. They're political as fuck. They're nepotismal as fuck, and they want to look out for their own people at all times. And so, if there's only about maybe 15, 20 music supervisors at the highest level that do the biggest studio films, but even those budgets, if there's a $20 million film coming out, they may have in the budget off the stop $500K for music, right? That $500K is probably going to get chopped down by half. And one song, like very rarely will they have the budget for like Wolverine and Deadpool, which had like all these epic songs, right? So I'm like, if you're doing a film for $1 million, your budget is going to be this, and you can't afford the songs. And I want to have, Survivor, Eye of the Tiger. You can't get that song. It's going to cost you $100,000 for that one song, for that one needle drop. So, but you want songs that have that same feeling, that aren't like a tinny version of it. You want something that has meat behind it. So if Hoya's got a song that sounds like Eye of the Tiger with a powerful rip, and boom. And so, and here's the thing: that song is in my movie, and the movie is streaming on BET Plus or Tubi, whatever, and 1 million people watch it the first day. That's 1 million streamers. And if somebody hears your song, what's culture nowadays? People take the phone, they Shazam that. Everybody, if you're under 40, you're Shazamming a song if you ain't heard it before. So if even 10% of those people hear that song and Shazam it, that's 100,000 Shazams. And even 10% of those people like you enough to become a fan, that's 10,000 new fans that you didn't have before.
No, for sure. I really like it. And we actually, Hoya Rock might be one of your guys.
Hey.
I sit on Mad Music. I got a lot of music, but that was something I was doing. I actually worked with a couple people behind the scenes. I won't throw no names out there, but a couple big players. But I had writing teams because I'm a writer. That's the mainly thing. And I've always wrote. And that's what I did, putting with the new band, with the Smoke AD stuff, shopping that around myself, talking to friends with friends, shout out to Jay and everybody. But like, we had to go to certain people separate, like a la carte. This guy works in this department. Hey, yo, we have this type of song. If you have anything like this, I got this type of music, so and so. And I saw it was a bitch. So to have a one-stop shop to be able to do that, it's like a really good idea, and especially with people that sit on a lot of music.
And bro, so we also do like writers' rooms. Like, so this movie coming out for BT Plus Paramount, it's a music industry song. It's a music industry film. So I have R&B, I've got rap. So we had to write for some of the actors who don't rap. I wrote creative briefs for these scenes. And so then we had a writer's room over the course of a weekend. and all these great young LA writers that do a lot of big sync stuff already. They come in, they sign their agreement. So by the time they leave, the song's cleared. So there's no issue. Everyone, they're getting bigger splits with us than they are with anybody else. They're not making as much money up front, maybe $100, $200. But the thing is, you have this much more of a chance to get your song in film and TV than you are with anybody else. All these other platforms, Epidemic Sound, which is valued at $1.5 billion, they do 50 million a year in revenue because they get artists paying them 19 or 29 bucks a month for a 6% or 5% success ratio. That maybe your song will get placed or never.
Yeah.
Ours is way higher because we're a boutique, we're small, and we're also making a lot of our own film and TV. I'm not unless like I get a budget of like say $8, $9, $10 million, and I want to have like Lords of the New Church, for example. I'm going to pay maybe 20 grand for that song because I want it. But by and large, we are basically you don't have to go to anybody else to have great music for your film or TV show.
Yeah, and what I really think is dope about it, it helps filmmakers and it helps the musicians.
Yeah, it's see, that's to do. You're in my head. It's like it solves problems on both sides.
Yes, no, for sure. And you being, and it makes sense. You being you know, you were again in the middle of it as a filmmaker, but also because the music side of it, and then the hustle side of it, and how, you know, what could we do from this? That's what the same thing with me with the T-shirt, the podcast. What I live in this world. So I'm like, yeah, music is my thing, but I live in this world. Our world is videos, you know, clubs, bars, festivals, you know, TV, venues. That's all our world, you know. And I'm like, okay, so that means merch, that means sound, visual. You know, there's a lot of avenues when you really think about it, you know. And when you're creative, you learn how to see that. But what I really like about what you're doing that I really didn't know till you explained it now was the avenue of specifically having cleared music for me, because again, I was recently dealing with it, and I'm dealing with it now, just trying to get shit to a specific place. Because I'm like, I specifically write shit. I've always did where I'm like, this. I would put a car chase on,
right,
and I write to it, or I write music, and then I take famous battle scenes and I put my music behind it to see if it feels right. Wow, you know, this shit matches and shit. Like, so I always, I was like, yo, it's together. You know, film with no sound, that's like, it ain't.
Yeah.
You know, vice versa, you need. And then, like you said, you know, when you get to like how you found Trivium, you basically discovered what I discovered with what where I saw the benefit to video also was we attack the senses visually, sonic. You can see it, you hear it.
Yeah.
Your brain goes because you're picturing these guys look like this. I wonder how they are. Wow, look at the equipment they're using. Now there's more to it than just the song. And who out of these for your company? Who you're inviting? I mean, everybody's invited, but like
literally, so it's every genre. It's
new bands, old bands, it's
any era. Yeah, it's any era, new bands, old bands. Yeah, you know, listen, there's a lot of guys and girls that we had that they maybe you were on in '97. You had one big single, and you've been drifting. Maybe you do shows for the last 20 years. You're touring all over the world doing that one song, and then 4 or 5 of your other songs. But you got new stuff that no one's going to ever play on the radio because you're that old artist. But if you have great stuff, come see us. Put on the platform, and boom.
That's dope. Listen, Dale.
Let me tell you one more thing. So with the movie I'm doing, you remember Trey Elay? Elay from so Trey's a good friend, always been a good friend. She hit me up about just doing some music videos for Dan Sugarman.
Oh, and so like, what are you doing? Like, what like?
No, so Dan, Dan Sugarman, he's in Ice Nine Kills.
But what what they said the project came up? How did it come up? Like,
no, Trey just hit me saying, "Hey, oh no, this is my film I'm doing. It's called Weep. It's a horror film, right?
All right.
I'm doing a horror film called Weep. It's about these kids.
You were just saying, yeah. That's a great name. That's a great name.
Trying to hunt down the Grim Reaper, right? So, but not done in that Scream corny kind of way, in a very supernatural kind of way. So it's very ominous and powerful, sonically and visually. And I've already I can't tell my cast yet, but I got a nice little humble cast with some great names. I'm not using anybody from the horror genre specifically because I don't want to have any stain from, oh yeah, he was in this and she was in that. I want to have my own fresh new thing. But coincidentally enough, as I'm doing this movie, the success of Terrifier 3 just came out, right? Now, I'm not a big gore guy. I've never been, I don't want to see the eyeball squish or the guts get pulled out of it. That's not my thing. Never has been. But we all love a good horror film. So hats off to them for crushing it, that whole team. And of course, you know, I know Spence and Eric German. I know a lot of those guys that are part of Ice Nine Kills and their whole success they're having from Torn from Metallica and being a part of Terrifier 3. In fact, they had a premiere of Terrifier 3 that I couldn't get to, but they had a 50-minute short film which stars Jose Mangan, our brother Jose, you know, from some Serious Octane, and Spence was in it. So Dan Sugarman happens to be in Ice Nine Kills, and I did get a call from Trey saying, "Hey Dale, I need you to do like this visual project for Dan," and I'm like, "This is crazy. I'm doing this horror film. They're coming off the success of doing $30 million in a week of Terrifier 3, and the guitar player in the band that's identified with that movie is I'm working with." Of course, it took 2 seconds to say he now wants to contribute music to my movie and he wants to have a cameo in it. So talk about dumb luck. It's like it was already with the cast I have and the budget I'm doing it for. It's already a winner, and visually I'm going to crush it. So to be able to add the little flavors like this to it, it's like the blessings continue to fall when you just keep doing the work. And along the way, as you know, in this business, whether it's other bands or managers or lawyers or labels, people just want to hate on you or try to block you. I've always had this fucking right here and this fucking right here and this fucking right here, this right here. They fuck you. I'm winning no matter what. And sure enough, we keep winning.
No, definitely. And you always show that everybody got that because, you know, again, when we met, it wasn't like, oh, I know this guy or I heard of him or whatever. I knew we met at a certain time, but, you know, real recognizes real. And throughout the years, and it's always stood. And you've always, and again, it's very important what you've done with doing all these bands, the bands that you have done. That all helps apart. You know, that helped. It's everybody. It's the music, the musicians, the guys recording, the video guys. That, you know, we could have the best music in the world if they don't get the people that want to see it don't get to see it, or if the shit doesn't look right, or they don't do that thing. You know, I always say it's a big part of it, and you being a part of it was good. Again, I'm glad. My personal thing, I'm glad because we needed a guy with swag. So I was like, you know, especially the hardcore bands, especially the more East Coast bands at that time, when it was important that we had the metalcore bands or whatever, but that the swag was represented the right way, not just hip hop. We talk about hip hop, but you know that we weren't trying to be rap hardcore. You never made us look like that, but it had a feel, a style that again you had to be who you were to get that. You like, oh, I know how these motherfuckers get down. I know because we would be the same way hanging out. You know, it ain't like you gotta present the fake scenario. So, you know, that was why it was always dope what you're doing, and even more now on the real, hearing what you're doing with that platform, even more. I really like that, and you definitely got to keep me posted on that for sure, because I think that's a fucking really
when we're done,
important idea.
Send an email right when you're done to info@boombox. I'll give you some other info when we're offline, but info@boomboxapocalypse.com. Send it in and get the paperwork going, because you know we're probably I think 60 days from going for a seed round, and we're gonna start laddering up because my partner in it, my boy Tim, has a film company called Goldry right on Sunset, which is where we have 5 studios for editing and for recording. And like, there's so much more stuff behind it. You're just getting like 3% of like really what's all happening. So.
You got to keep me posted on it as you go. And whenever you drop a new stuff, don't hang on. Don't hang, you know, before when we turn off right now, just stay on real quick. I want definitely big shot. I'm glad you were able to jump on, and I'm really, really glad you explained that because I wasn't too sure. And it's really a good thing, man, because it's something very important, especially for OG bands. Because you know how it is. What could I do with my artwork, my art that I got? Like, what else could I do? Like, it don't go, you know, just because it came out or I have something sitting in the bank, that's brand new to
and if you wanted to get together with like Toby from H2O or like
exactly.
do some crazy song together, boom.
We talking. Let me tell you, everybody out there, don't be surprised in the future if I become one of the head representatives for this, because I totally back it. But on the real, we'll be talking on this shit myself, and keep me informed with all the info and everything, how you're moving along with the movie. Dale.
Will do.
Hang on before we hang on. Everybody, go check out there. Go check out. You got a Wikipedia in because there's too much shit. Movies.
No, there is a Wikipedia, but it's not been updated for a long time by somebody.
I know there is. I'm saying you're gonna have to Wikipedia because there's so much videos, music, movies, you name it. He's doing it. Everybody, go check out my man. Support the movement and stay tuned. Smoke AD. We got our first show coming. Detroit. When this drops, it'll be announced. Detroit, you get it first. And then you never know. Next year, it might be a Smoke AD, Dale, fucking Lamborghini, Resteghini, fucking video happening. But everybody, one love. Hang on. Don't sign up. Yo, we out of here. Peace.